launched. Okay, cool. So we're going to learn to use a calculator to our advantage solving a simplex problem. Now we still have to write some stuff down, so I'm going to try to do my best to show you exactly what I would expect you guys to write down. So first things first, in order to take advantage of my calculator, I need to actually make this simplex table first by myself. So in order to make the simplex table, I'm starting out with inequalities, which I have to turn into what? Okay, none of you guys want to talk. Okay, so I have to turn them into equalities by introducing, Jenna, you were going to say?
Oh, I just didn't hear your question until I didn't realize what you were asking until you said no one wanted to talk.
Oh, okay. So what's my next step here?
To add slack.
Okay, good. So I need to add my slacks. So I have x1 plus 2x2 plus the slack for item 1 is going to equal 1200. I have 2x2, oops, that's in the wrong spot. Oh, okay. Well, I'm going to have some problems with row column management here. So I have 2x2 plus x3 plus s2 is going to equal 1800. And then I also have 4x1 plus x3 plus s3 is going to equal 3600. And then I also need to rearrange my profit equation. So how does that go?
You subtract all of the different x's on the right. You subtract them from z, and so that they equal 0.
Okay, so I have minus x1 minus 6x2 minus 8x3 plus z equals 0, right? Okay, so now I need to stick this whole thing into a simplex table. And just for organizational purposes, I'm going to put the variable names down first. So I have x1s, x2s, x3s, not x4s. So I have my 3 x's, my 3 slacks, my z variable, and then the numbers on the other side. Okay, so then I need some lines. So I need a line like this and a line like this. And then I just put my numbers in, right? So I've got 1, 2, 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 1200. And 0, 2, 1, 0, 1, 0, 0, 1800. I think I got that one right. 2x2s, 1x1, 1s2. Yeah. And then 4, 0, 1, 0, 0, 1, 0, 3600. And then my profit row has a -1, a -6, a -8, a 0, 0, 0, 1, and 0. Okay, so now what? So I think if I'm going to use the calculator to my best advantage, I can just put those into my calculator right now. You guys see that? Okay, so I'm going to put those in as A, B, C, and D. And I need to know how big they are. So when I go in, I'm going to put them into the matrix. I'm going to go edit my matrix A. And it's going to be 1 by, how many across is that? Which is this way? Is that the right?
No.
It's ring finger. It's ring finger to thumb is 8.
Middle finger to thumb is 8. Ring finger to thumb is 7. Pinky to thumb is 6.
Oh, so it's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 10, 10? Oh, 10. Okay.
No,
What is this? That's 10? Oh my god, I'm not learning sign language in addition to this. Sorry. I need to learn sign language, but not right now. Okay. So this is a 1 by, I think, 8, looks like. Is that what you guys were saying? Okay, good. All right, and needs to have 1 and 2 and 0 and 1 and 0, 0, 0, 1200. Okay, so 1, 2, 0, 1, 1, 2, 3 zeros and a 1200. Cool. Okay. All right. Need to go into the matrix area B. I need, oops. No, not what we wanted. Careful. You want to get out of the matrix because you don't want a matrix with matrices in it. That'll get real jacked. So let's go second matrix, and I need to edit matrix B, which is going to be, again, 1 by 8. And that one's going to have, oops. That one's going to have 0, 2, 1, 0, 1, 0, 0, 1800. This is the kind of thing where it might be helpful to have a friend talk as you enter. Okay, so 0, 2, 1, 0, 1, couple of zeros, and an 1800. Okay, good. So I got that one in. Let's go put in matrix drat. That's still not editing it. We need to edit matrix C 1 by 8 and needs to contain 4, 0, 1, 0, 0, 1, 0, 3600. Okay, and I should have checked that, but I didn't because I'm a bad person and I want to make errors. Okay, so matrix D needs to be 1 by 8, and it needs to have -1, -6, -8. You guys know the negative and the minus sign are different on the calculator, right? Okay, good. So these are negatives, so they need that negative. Let's see, and 0, 0, 0. Oops, 3 zeros. So 3 zeros. And then I need a 1 and a 0. Okay, so now we can quit out of this junk. Okay, so now that I've got them all in there, what's my next step?
Find the greatest payoff.
Okay, good. I need to go find the pivot. So I'm going to do that the same way I usually go find the pivot. So I'm going to look for the most negative number. That's -8. So I know that this is my biggest payoff column. Now I need to find my most constraining constraint, which I do by what?
Dividing what's in the column to the numbers that are across from it.
Okay, so I need to do 1200 over 0 and 1800 over 1 and 3600 over 1. And I get infinity and 1800 and 3600, which means what?
The pivot row is the row with 1800.
Good. So B is my pivot row.
Oh, yeah.
And that means that my pivot is this number here, 1. With that. Now my next step is I need to clear that column. So the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to say, all right, so column or part A is kind of check, right? That's already got a 0 in it. My pivot's already 1. Check on that. My next thing is I need this 1 to be a 0. So what am I going to do with row C?
Subtract the pivot row.
Okay, so I just need to subtract B, and then I'm going to put that into C with the calculator to overwrite that item. With me on that? Okay, and then how about row D?
Multiply row B by 8 and then add to D.
Okay, so I need D plus 8 times the pivot row, and I'm going to store that back in row D. You guys with me on that? So I'm just going to go ahead and do that on the calculator. So I'm going to do second matrix. I need to get C. I need to subtract. Go into my matrix area, get B. And then I want to hit the store arrow. And I want to put that into matrix C. This will just keep me from having to write these down all the time. Okay, I'm going to hit enter. I'm going to figure out that my new row C, right, after I did this operation, would look like 4, -2, 0, 0, -1. So I could write that down, right? So I can take my row A, that one's unchanged. I can write my row B down. It's also unchanged because it's the pivot row. And it already had a 1 in it. Okay, and this 1 is still my pivot, right? Oops, and I was writing in pink. And so row C became 4, -2, 0, 0, -1, 1, 0, 1800. And then for row D, I'm going to go D plus 8 times B gets stored into, do I want to store this into B or D? D boy, D dog. Where does this go?
Into D.
Yeah, you want to use the pivot row to change D. Okay, so we're going to get our new row here is going to be -1, 10, 0, 0, 8, 0, 1, 14,400. And then what's my next step going to be?
To find the new pivot number because there's still a negative number in the bottom row.
Good. We're going to look down here. We're going to see a -1. We're going to say, oh shit, that means I'm not done with this problem. The good news is that I no longer have to enter A, B, C, or D. Right? These are all still in there as A, B, C, and D. That's why we did the store arrow, so I don't have to rewrite them. Okay, so I now know I have my biggest payoff column. I need my quotients, so that's 1200 over 1 and 1800 over 0 and 1800 over 4. And I don't actually even need to know which one of these it is. I just need to know that the smallest number's in the which row. Which one of those is smallest?
Row A.
1200 split one way is smaller than 1800. Yeah.
Oh, row C.
Yeah, I was pretty sure I misheard you. You said C, right?
Yeah, at first I said A and then I said C.
I was teasing you. I was giving you the.
No.
Okay, so I got row C as my pivot row, right? So how do I want to change my pivot row?
Divide the whole row by 4.
Good. I want to divide the whole row by 4, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my matrix and I'm going to say, all right, C times 0.25. Actually, I wonder if it'll let me divide. I bet it'll let me divide. C divided by 4. Okay, so I could do, oh. It's super sad. It should be smart enough to figure this out, but it's not. All right, so let's do, if we do go to, it'll let us edit it. So apparently I can't do C over 4. I have to do C times 0.25. Texas Instruments. Disappointment to all of us. And then if I want to get fractions out of there, right, we'd go, oops, not second. Right. We'd go math to fractions. Then we can see the fractions. Okay, so this is going to be my pivot row. I probably should store this. So I'm going to pop back up a couple entries here. I'm going to grab this one, and I'm going to say, all right, look, store that into matrix C. And now that'll have overwritten my pivot row. You guys see that? Okay, now what?
Make the rest of the pivot column 0.
Yeah. So I'm just going to kind of cross this out and think that this is just row C, right? I've updated row C so that this number is a 1, and I don't even really care what the rest are for right now. I could write them down in here, but I'm not so worried about it. You guys see that? Like, it's in the calculator. I'm going to get it out at the end, but right now I'm just trying to write. So what do I need to do with row A? Does that need modification?
You would subtract the pivot row from row A.
Yep, so I'm going to subtract my new row C, right? And I'm going to store that into where? Does it get stored in A or C? A. Good. Okay, and then row B has a leading 0, so what does it need?
It doesn't need to be modified.
Good. Yeah, it doesn't need anything. How about row D?
You add row C.
Okay. I need to add row C, and I'm going to store that back into row D. So let's see. Let me just do I'm going to execute my plan here. So I'm going to say matrix A, oops, not plus, but minus C is going to get stored into A, and then D needs to get C added to it. So we're going to go here, grab matrix D, add C, and dang it, stop that. Stop that. And then we're going to strat. I keep hitting the second button by mistake, and I can't figure out how to get out of it. On the calculator, you just tap it twice and it goes away. But on the emulator, it doesn't seem to work. Alright, so D plus C gets stored into matrix D. Okay. And we could probably fraction that whole thing. And so out of this, what I'm getting is I'm seeing that I'm done, for one thing. You guys see why I'm done?
There's no more negatives in the bottom row.
Yeah, D was the bottom row, so I've got 0 and 19 halves, and 0 and 0 and 31 quarters, and a quarter, and 1 and 14 850. Okay, so that's telling me at least I'm done, and the best profit I can make is 14 850. Right? Now, in order to know how to make that profit, I need to go get my other numbers. And the other numbers are in my other rows that I've got stored in the calculator, right? So I just need to dump them out. So I'm just going to do this. I'm going to hit entry here. And then I'm going to go over to where the answer is. I'm going to go into matrix, and I'm going to put matrix A in there. So I'm just going to take A and turn it into fractions. So that's going to dump my first row out. So that means my first row is 0, 5 halves, 0, 1, 1 quarter, minus 1 quarter, 0, and 750. Then I'm going to do that exact same thing with matrix B. And so my second row is 0, 2, 1, 0, 1, 0, 0, 1800. And lastly, for matrix C, dump that one out, and we're going to have 1, negative 1 half, 0, 0, negative 1 quarter, 1 quarter, 0, and 450. So, can you guys read off my other important variables here? So, I'm looking.
X1 equals 450. X3 equals 1800. And Y1 equals 750. And
Let's see. So you told me X3 was 450. X2 was 1800. X1 is 750. And Z is 14,850.
No.
Okay. Wait, no?
X1 is 450.
Oh, you're doing it right, not wrong like me.
X3 is 1800, and then Y1 is 750.
Okay, good. So out of our X1 column, right, we get 450. And then this is the X3 column, right? So out of the X3 column, we got 1800. Out of what column was this one?
Y1.
Wait, why?
Oh, I have a Y as.
Oh, you put your slacks in as Y?
Yeah, it's S1.
Crazy. All right, so S1 is 750. Good. Perfect. Very nice. So yeah, you have to be really careful, right? It's not just, this thing isn't always arranged as the identity matrix. You have to actually think about pulling the equations out, and you have to know which columns they came out of. Cautionary tale. All right, so I got these numbers out. Now, if I want to solve the problem, they're probably not asking me for X1, X3, and slack 1, because I made up slack 1, right? Like, I made that number up, so where does it come from? Like, where do I get X2 from? The heck? Copy paste one note. Come on now. Yes. Copy this. Where did it go? Oh, come on. Don't be ridiculous. All right, I guess I'm going to get to rewrite them. So we found what were my numbers again? I got x1 was 450. I got z was 14,850. I remember those two.
S1 was 750.
Oh, was x1 750, not 450? I keep screwing that up. No, x1 was s1.
S1, you were right. I just
S1
like I
was
said,
750 though, and X3 was 1800, I think. Okay, so out of these, my goal is I need to find X2. So where do I have an equation that involves a couple of things that I know and X2s? See, so if I mark the things I don't, like, the things I don't know about are X2s, S2s, S3s. You guys see that? Okay, so I just need an equation that has things I know in it and an x2. So this first one seems perfectly fine, right? So that first equation, if I put in the two things I know in there, I got 450 plus 2x2 plus 750 equals 1200. Let's see, so that is indeed, right? 450 and 750 is 1200. So I get 2x2 is 0. So that tells me that x2 has to be 0. Guys with me on that one? How about S2 and S3? They didn't really ask me for these, right? In fact, they didn't ask me. They just said maximize this subject to. So right now what I would be like perfectly happy with is if you said, all right, so the answer is the max z of 14,850 is at x1 is 450, x2 is 0, and x3 is 1800. Like, that's a perfectly acceptable answer. If they asked you how much stuff you have left over, you can use your other equations to sort that out. You guys see that? So my second equation here, since I know x2 is 0 and x3 is 1800, that means that s2 also has to be 0. So I know that I have unused resource 1. I'm making full use of resource 2. And if I put in some numbers for my third equation here, I get 4 times x1 is 1800 plus 1800. So I'm also using up all of resource 3. You guys with me on that? Okay, cool. I like the calculator, guys. I'm really, really psyched about this method. I think the only clutch thing is to remember to use the store key, because otherwise your rows will get updated. Like, you'll get a set of numbers, but it won't save in the calculator, and then you'll have an old row in there. So if you skip one of those, you might get in trouble. Otherwise, this is totally kick-ass. Love it.